So I think they'll tell us when they see us. We're live on YouTube. Okay, well, got us? Okay, we'll just go ahead and get started then. Good morning, everyone. It is the morning grind. It is Tuesday, November the 29th. Okay, I know what day it is. I'm thankful for that. Thankful for you guys helping me remember what day it is. Okay, so we'll start out as we do every Tuesday with 60 seconds of gratitude. We'll go around the room, find out what everybody's thankful for. We're going to start with Josh.
I'm thankful today USA plays Wales in the FIFA World Cup.
Who's gonna win?
USA is going to win. If they win, they're in the big game.
I know nothing about World Cup. Do we not play Iran or
Iran?
Iran? Yeah, who do we play today?
Wales.
Wales?
Wales.
Big group of working Wales.
Are y'all into soccer?
No.
Are you into soccer? I have no idea about
It's
soccer.
American football.
It only happens 4 times a year.
Yeah. No, once every 4 years?
Once every 4 years, sorry.
Gotcha.
Once every 4 years.
Gotcha. Jacob, what are you thankful for this morning besides soccer?
I had a family member. He was changing his tire on the interstate. And he got hit by a semi.
Oh,
he
my.
actually he survived. So he broke all of his legs, like his femurs and stuff. But luckily he's
Wow.
he had a little brain bleeding and stuff like that. But luckily he survived. So
That is,
thankful for that.
it's hard to feel lucky in a way like that, but goodness gracious, absolutely. Well, okay, thoughts and prayers with him for sure. Ed, what are you thankful for this morning?
I am thankful for the GoodTimeTommy team, everybody here. Thank you for letting me back on. I appreciate it, and I will not let y'all down.
Glad to see you here and glad to see what you're going to do. All right, appreciate it. Noah, what are you thankful for this morning?
Thankful that a lot of my boys are going back to where they live now, but I'm glad I was able to spend time with them while they were here.
Gotcha. You're talking about people who were here for Thanksgiving and that kind of?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
And they're pretty much all leaving today, so.
Oh, man, everybody's packing out.
Hey, it's a good thing though.
Yeah.
We were able to spend the time while they're here, and
Yeah. It's interesting to have to be okay with the anxiety that comes with missing somebody, but that means shows how much you care about them,
Sure.
how much important they are to you.
absolutely.
Cameron, what are you thankful for this morning?
I'm thankful that I got to go to Kentucky for Thanksgiving and see family up there. We usually only see them like twice a year, so,
We're in Kentucky.
Owensboro.
Owensboro. All right, very good. Well, I am super thankful for our guest today. My name is Shannon Wheeler, and I'm with the Shannon Wheeler team at PMG. And my guest today is Dayton Brown. Dayton, welcome to the show, man. We're glad to have you here. Everybody give a round of applause for Dayton. Because if you don't, he will mess you up. Trained killer here. No, actually, that's secret. We're not supposed to say anything about that. We'll get to that later. But one thing that you do very publicly and in the open for everyone to enjoy is build beautiful houses and do beautiful things with houses. So we want to talk a little bit about that. First, just tell everyone who you are, name of your company, and what you are known for the most.
All right. My name is Dayton Brown. My company is Hedgewood Builders here in Murfreesboro. Known for building custom homes, highly detailed, custom, high energy efficiency homes, as well as doing kind of high-end renovations.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the difference between what you do versus what, say, an Old South does, where you've got more of a production, sort of building out subdivisions, tract housing, those kinds of things, building for the masses, whereas you focus more on an individual basis, doing either custom construction or modifications. So in that sense, instead of someone saying, hey, I'm looking for a place to live, they usually have some kind of plan or already have an idea in mind, and then they come to you. So we talked about that a little bit. Describe if someone has an idea to build their own custom home. Because a lot of times we have people that'll say, oh, I'm just not finding what I'm looking for. I think I'll build. Well, when that thought comes to their mind, when do they need to call Dayton?
I'd say somewhere early on. Ideally, you've got the lot or the land involved, but you haven't fully designed your house yet. I've done it both ways. It can work all different ways. Of you bring the builder in at the end, bring the builder in at the beginning. The problem with bringing the builder in at the end is you've designed a house that is exactly what you want. And you've got an idea of what you want to spend,
Yeah.
but those just don't match up. And now you've spent 6, 8 months designing the perfect house, but you can't afford it.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, I mean, it takes money to get to that point, does it not?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
A
so.
lot of money and time, a
Yeah.
lot of energy, and that's heartache. You know,
Yes.
I've had people that have basically just quit, and given up, because they've put so much into it, and now they can't do it. Oh, we'll do it later, or it just doesn't happen.
So for most people that are out there, to prevent something like that from happening, to have a different outcome, a better experience, at what point should they engage your company? So for example, at what point do they begin finding out what will the prices be for some of these things? Hey, I'm thinking about this, but what's it gonna take to get there? When's ideal for them to contact you?
As early as possible.
Now, do you get involved in the drawings and the architect part of that as
Yeah.
well? So basically, they can come to you and just say, "Let me tell you my ideas."
I don't do the drawing. Well, I take that back. I'm not an architect. I'm not a draftsman, but I do a lot of design. I've got several different architects and draftsmen that I work with that have done multiple designs for me. We get an idea of the layout. We get an idea of the land, depending on if they're a local architect or a couple of them are in different states. So those guys, if you've got a really unique piece of land, you want to build a house that matches that land perfectly, you need somebody local, because you need someone who can design the house into the property. If you've got a nice level piece of land and you just want a specific house, it's not as big a deal. You can go with someone who's out of town and maybe save you a little bit of money, but designing plans is definitely not the place you save money.
You know, and that makes a ton of sense too, because if you think about someone having their own land and building a custom home, I mean, where that structure lays into the lay of the land,
Yep.
I mean, that's just as important to the elevation of the house in some
Absolutely.
cases. I mean, you can really have those be a mismatch and it just looks like an odd building that doesn't really fit on the land. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's a little bit of an artist's eye.
Yes.
So people can draw boxes and they can draw angles, but that's not the same thing as seeing your home on your land where you're going to be.
Right.
It's a different.
Often that is the designation between an architect and a draftsman. A draftsman will design
Makes
a
sense.
house. An architect will design an entire property, space for you.
Yeah, yeah,
A
absolutely.
good architect, anyway. Yeah.
Yeah,
There are, just like everything else, there are levels.
yeah.
And then you pick your design. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no,
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, or ask, what are some of the common missteps? Besides just having a difference between what you can actually do with the budget and what your heart wants, that aside, what are some other common missteps that you see people take when they're starting to build a custom home?
Yeah, that is the biggest one. But usually, then secondly, I'll see somebody who just brings in plans off the internet. Says, we want to build this house, but we just want to change this a little bit, and we're going to do this a little different, and we're going to pump this out just a little bit, and by the time they've added all these couple little things, they've got a different house.
Yeah.
And
Bring you a picture of a horse, like,
Right.
"Hey, just like this, and make these modifications. Next thing you know, you have a
yeah,
giraffe.
and they don't want to
So-
spend. We got these really cheap, or somebody gave them to us, and we just want to change a few things, but they don't want to spend any money to get it right. And what I tell them every time is, here's the thing: for every dollar you spend, we're probably going to be able to save you something close to $10 in the end in this build. So get it right on paper at the beginning, and I guarantee you it will be a savings. If it costs $10,000 to design this house, I guarantee you will save more than that by the time it's all said and
Yeah,
done.
the old measure twice, cut once
Yeah,
thinking.
yeah, and often, here's another thing: I have never built the same house twice.
Even if it's the same plan,
I've never built the same plan.
or just
twice.
never built the same house.
We've
Yeah,
designed everything different. I mean, it's
Interesting.
because by the time I meet with the client, that my clients are wanting a truly custom house. It's not a production house built on their land.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a custom house. I mean, they instigated the process, but that's the difference between a production builder that can build a house for you and a custom builder that, you know, and there is a difference.
Yeah, I
It
think
doesn't
about-
mean
I think
one's
about-
better or the other, but they definitely think differently about the process.
Yeah, I think about Drees. Drees has a scattered lot building program.
Yeah.
So somebody in my subdivision is building a Drees home on a lot, and that would be an example of they're probably picking one of however many plans Drees has and just putting
Right.
it on that lot. And it's kind of the same similar thing.
Yeah,
Not the same thing as building out in 5 acres.
So,
Yeah.
so is the difference, one is just the customer has their idea already, and the other one is you kind of put the idea in their head a little bit? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's more, specifically what I was referring to there is more the way that the builder thinks.
Uh-huh.
You know, they've got a few options. So you've just got a little more flexibility in what you're building compared to a production house, like something Old South would have, that even if you come in at the beginning, you're still buying the end house as they're gonna build it. You might change color or two. You've got a few more options with someone like a Drees, and they can build a good house. A very pretty house at the very least, you know, and it's constructed well. It's not going to fall apart but it's not it's not really, you haven't designed the house fully. So that's more the far end of the spectrum. Obviously, it's a spectrum from production to 100% custom.
Yeah.
And they're somewhere in this range, I would
That's
say,
what it was.
right?
Okay.
Yeah, I would say the way I would describe that is, in one instance, you're purchasing a product. In another instance, you're really co-creating.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm
It's like
saying?
you're part
Every
of the
decision,
process.
right, every decision from where that property is going to, where that home is going to be built on that property to ground, all those decisions, it's a co-creation with the builder, yourself, because you're really creating a new, never seen before
Exactly.
structure.
Something that's never existed before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the latter is basically, we've got this outline, you can kind of customize from there.
Yeah,
So to speak.
and along with that, let's talk for just a minute about some of the differences. And again, it's a little bit of a situation where we have tons, and in this office, there are tons of builders that are represented, and we
Yeah.
do tons of new construction, all those sorts of things. And it's not really a knock on a different or
Oh, no.
production type builder. It's more just a matter of, there are some differences.
Right.
And it's just kind of
And-
like if you drive up to the car lot and you buy a car off the showroom floor, or if you assemble the car yourself. I mean, there's just differences. So talk
Sure.
a little bit about that, the quality that someone gets when they use you to build a home.
Yeah, the big difference are deep in the details of, usually the people that I build for want something, not just, not with just the finished details correct, but they want, they're typically wanting something highly energy efficient, something moving on to being, somewhere on the spectrum of a net zero house. Yeah.
So describe
Well,
that a
not
little bit.
even,
When you say
modern
net
is
zero-
not necessarily net zero. Net zero is energy efficiency.
Okay.
Often modern houses are more energy efficient just because people that want a modern house tend to think that way a little more, but it doesn't have to be. It can be, farmhouse, contemporary. It's more in the details of how the house is constructed, how the energy
Are you
efficiency
getting more
of
and
it.
more requests and more mindful action towards energy efficiency, just in custom builds? Like, hey, I would like to do this energy efficient.
Yeah, and what I can do too is, because that's the only way I'll build, just with choosing the right materials and using the right process, I can build a house that is 60-70% more energy efficient for almost the exact same price,
Okay.
framing wise. It's more about doing details, paying more attention to specific details of slightly different materials that cost a little more, but I don't need these as much of this. So, like, I can build a house out of 2x6s with the exact same board footage, essentially the exact same board footage as a 2x4 house. And that in and of itself adds 50% more insulation to a house.
Ah, I got you.
But actually, by the time I'm done, it's more like almost 70% more insulation, just with a few little details, just in that 2x6 framing.
Yeah, gotcha.
How much would you say, I mean, if you could, I know it's too many variables, but making it more, energy efficient, how much does that drive the cost up for the buyer looking to make a home?
That's what I'm saying. I can do it essentially the same, almost a wash. We're talking
Almost
a few
even
percentage
bills.
points in the overall build of the house.
Yeah, without anything special. Are you getting
It's
any,
really more
are you-
about paying attention to the details.
Do you get any requests for solar? Is that
Yeah,
is that
prep,
something that's popular, not popular?
well,
is it?
We basically prep every house we build for solar if it's applicable, if the line of sight for the sun, basically
So you
have
can
a
have
nice
later-
southern exposure, significant southern exposure, we'll prep it for solar.
Interesting. So talk a little bit about some of the costs. As interest rates were down, costs went up in housing just in general, supply chain issues, all of these things. I mean, people have heard it a million times so much that it's just like, it just kind of goes in one ear out the other.
Yeah.
I mean, but one of the things that you deal with in bringing this custom project to life for your clients is those costs of materials, right?
Right.
That's a big thing that we have to deal with. You have your artisan, your craftsmanship, your skills, but then we just have the raw material costs. So I know a lot of people, it's funny. I've been in this business for over 25 years. Never one time had I heard anything about lumber costs from anybody until the last couple of years. Then all of a sudden everybody's, all concerned about the lumber costs. And
That's
it's
a
like,
good reason.
okay.
It went up over 150%.
Right. So where do we stand right now? So as consumers hear about lumber costs and all these different things, where do we really stand right now? If you're looking to build a home this coming year,
300%.
how are you feeling about lumber, about heating and air? What are the material costs?
Yeah, lumber's come down significantly. It's actually at a reasonable point now. It's dropping, it's dropped more than half, where it was before. It's roughly 50% or less of 50% of its peak.
Okay.
Since back
So
into
maybe
a
still up
reasonable
than it was
range.
3 years ago, but back to
I believe so. I
reasonable.
haven't checked it recently.
Yeah.
I haven't bought a package here within the last few months. Yeah, way better. We we had to change the foundation because of some FEMA issues with the house recently, and just in the 3 months that it took to re-engineer the foundation and redo that, we basically paid for all the extra work because of lumber prices have dropped so much.
Ah,
That was nice.
that is nice.
That
What
was
about
nice.
other things like, I hear
But
HVAC?
yeah, HVAC is tricky. HVAC is one of the lagging things right now. We're still paying more for, and it's difficult to get the right equipment. And then I just heard yesterday that they're changing some regulations on static pressure issues they're trying to regulate, and prices are getting ready to jump up to another 30% at the first of the year.
I've got a
So if you
unit
need a
right
u-
now that
if
just
you need
went
a
out
unit,
last week
go
that
buy
I'm,
it right now.
I'm facing that same thing. It's like, limping along may cost you if you do, so
yeah,
it's
right now
kinda,
would be a good time to go out and
yeah,
that
and
unit.
I had Dwight Dye on the show last week. We were talking
Yeah.
about taxes, and so now I'm thinking it's an investment property. So I'm thinking, okay, well, if I replace it now,
Right, you
there's
got
the
this
tax
year's
benefit
tax,
for this year, but also may save some on
Yeah,
the
30%,
reprice.
yeah.
You got a question, Noah?
So, moving into 2023, do you see yourself slowing down at all, or are you gonna keep trucking?
For me, I'm on a small scale. We just build a handful of houses a year. So far, I haven't had any issues going through dips and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's just people wanting a custom house. They want it no matter what.
Yeah. Are you typically around this area, Middle Tennessee?
Yeah,
Okay. What's the biggest house you've built?
I built a few 5,000 square foot.
Really?
Yeah,
Is that fun?
yeah. It's
Man.
it depends on the. Yeah, every house has got a different set of problems to solve.
Right,
It's
yeah.
that we did one a year and a half ago that had 24-foot straight walls all the way up, 36-foot ridge.
Wow.
So we had to frame it with 2x8
Yeah.
framing. Yeah, I mean it was a massive, cool house. It almost felt like a church inside. The way.
Do you
Yeah.
do
Hall.
pools too, or do you?
I'm sorry.
Do you do pools as well?
I don't do them directly. I work with a few
I know a lot of
companies.
people are
Yeah.
like, I'm either good at pools or I'm good at building houses. It's necessarily both. So
Right.
I get that.
Yeah, it is very different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough to find somebody that you can rely on. So, not just custom builds, but you do a lot of renovation work. So,
Decent amount.
and so if someone's out there and they're like, hey, I want to add 1,000 square feet or something along those lines, it's, awfully hard to find somebody. So if I've got a project like that right now that I've got kind of earmarked for 2023, and I'm like, you know what, I don't think I'm gonna move, but I do need to add some space.
Yeah.
How do they reach you? How long does it take to get something like that done where you can come and give somebody a quote and kind of?
I'll talk to anybody that's got any work. It just really comes down to, do I feel like we can give you, do we have enough time and energy to give you what you need to get that done? I don't want to sacrifice giving the client what that project needs, the
Yeah.
energy and time. And, it really just depends on if it fits in the schedule. If small team and, we value that client and project relationship. So, it's tricky. It's a really tricky balance.
Yeah, because
I
you
guess,
find yourself
ultimately.
just like everyone else in between getting as many sales and doing as much
Right.
business as you can for your business, but then also not overpromising and under-delivering. It's a challenge in real estate and in mortgage and in
Right.
construction. Expectation management is always one of those
Right.
things. So it sounds to me like you pay a lot of attention on the front end to make sure all expectations are matched up.
I do the
then
best
you
I
can
can,
succeed.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Do the best you can. Well, Dayton, we are super glad that you came in this morning, talk to us about custom home building. It's going to be one of those things you guys will run into for sure. Tell everybody how to reach you one more time if they're looking at getting some projects started for 2023 and need a good custom builder. This is our guy. Tell them how to reach you.
Dayton Brown, give me a call at 615-218-1962. Email is dayton@hedgewoodbuilders.com, Dayton, just like the city, hedgewoodbuilders.com.
That's it.
Instagram, Hedgewood Builders, Facebook, same thing, Hedgewood Builders.
Gotcha. Okay, very good. Dayton, really appreciate you coming. Everybody, let's give Dayton a round of applause for coming on the show this morning.
Thanks, guys.
Everybody have a great Tuesday. Van, Grafton,
Shut us down.
shut us down.